That is why there is need for political liberation. And then secondly,
you have diverted from my question. Is Uganda truly independent?
The answer is both yes and no. We are independent because that is what it seems on the surface. But we are not independent for these reasons. We are not politically independent because for one to become president here, many of them that have become first run to the West, there is a lot of foreign interest that denies us political independence. Secondly,
Good evening.
good evening.
I'm so glad that meeting you,
A pleasure.
especially in this special day. My name is Beatrice. I think you already know me. I'm a lawyer and I'm an author, but also I write. I write book reviews for Africa Rebirth. It's a Pan-African website that is focused on writing African history. And this season of politics is one that we're picked interest in, especially for candidates that are new in this race. And we want to see the most we want to see is, we know that history repeats itself. What unique thing are you bringing into this race as a candidate? We have seen that's the first question. What new thing are you bringing into this race as a candidate? And secondly, you have listened to your campaign there in the basement, and you have talked about neo-colonialism. So my question is, do you believe that Uganda is independent? Then if it is independent or if it is not independent, what are you going to do about it? Then my last question would be, how deep are you going to be into this race? Because I've seen many politicians who come up, they are bribed or they are given money to get out of the race. And some of them, they are there to put out their personal agendas. And for you, are you going to manage the threats that are going to come up in this race? How deep are you willing to go? Are you willing to die for this post that you're racing against? Then maybe I'll come up with follow-up questions, but I'd like you to first answer the questions I've asked you.
All right, thank you very much, Beatrice, and thank you for having me. Good evening to you and everybody that is watching this interview. My name is Nkwanga Micheal. I am aspiring for President of Uganda. What new thing do I bring to this race? For us, this is not just a campaign. This is a liberation agenda. That is why we are saying for anything that must be done, we must first of all liberate ourselves. But also we understand that liberation is not an end to itself. That is why we add the Kiswahili mantra of kazi na watu, to mean our liberation is people-centered. We want to work for the people and we want to work with the people. What is different about our liberation first agenda is that we bring on board 5 classes of people at once. It has not happened in this country from time memorial, where the peasants, the working class, the intellectuals, the neutralists and special interest groups discard whatever it is they have as similarities based on tribe, on color, on political wagons they belong to, and choose to capitalize on their similarities so that one, they liberate themselves and propel this country forward. It is uniqueness of its kind, and most importantly that it is people-centered, and that is why it drives its energy and commitment from. On the question of whether Uganda is independent, it is a very lengthy conversation, but there is what I would call generation mandates. That from the time when Uganda got her independence, when Uganda got her independence, sorry, we continue to see people champion mandates. Our biggest problem today is that we have not identified a purpose and a strategic direction. Partly, we are independent, but that is what they call physical independence. Because we are free, we don't have chains. You've had men and women chant along and say this government brought peace, which is very okay, but that is simply physical liberation, where you don't have chains, you sleep just the way you want and do what you want. But the modern day definition of peace, poor people are never peaceful, because If you are unemployed, if the education sector is bad, if the health sector is bad, if standards of living are very high, then there is no peace. So what the NRM government achieved is what you call physical liberation. It is one of the 5 pillars. And in this liberation campaign, we are bringing the 4 pillars. One being the political liberation, that we are liberating ourselves from those that liberated us before. We are tired of bad governance. We are tired of corruption. We are tired of weak and compromised systems. And then we are also tired of state-managed elections. A good percentage of this population has given up on elections because they know that elections do not change leadership in this country. That is why there is need for political liberation. And then secondly,
you have diverted from my question. Is Uganda truly independent?
The answer is both yes and no. We are independent because that is what it seems on the surface. But we are not independent for these reasons. We are not politically independent because for one to become president here, many of them that have become first run to the West, there is a lot of foreign interest that denies us political independence. Secondly, this is not a self-sustainable economy. We are economically dependent, therefore we cannot claim independence. Secondly, we are also not socially independent. Look at our education system is purely colonial. It was not designed for us. We do not benefit from us, but look at where we are stuck to it. Look at our ideological orientation, how we think, how we reason, how we approach politics, how we approach economics, how we approach social life. It is all colonial. The tagline of independence still stands. That is a yes. So, for us in the Pan-African stand, that is where you develop the question of, did we get independence from the front door and lost it from the back door? So, depending on context, one would both say yes and would say no.
My other question was, how deep are you willing to go into this race? Are you prepared to face that race, and to what extent are you prepared to lose your life over this, if it comes to it?
I am personally prepared. Shockingly, this agenda is not about me. One beautiful aspect about liberation is that if politicians do not liberate the people liberate themselves. Liberation is a fact of life. It is not about me. A population that is tired, even when I am no more, even when I am not in the picture, somebody else will rise. And we have seen it over time. The people never stop demanding for freedom. And trust me, every day that goes by, their thirst for freedom becomes even deeper. They develop even bigger commitment, and they would go so far. My position about it is very stringent and will not divert from our agenda. Naera abantu bajja kwenunula eventually.
Uganda's face challenges regarding tribal politics. How are you prepared to address that?
Sectarianism is perpetuated by a system. First of all, one will need to break loose from the system to not looking at itself from the tribal part of it. I prefer to address myself as an African. That is why Pan-Africanism is core here. But because we are dipped in the spirit of neocolonialism, I would call it a ditch, that we look at ourselves with the intel of Onomuganda, Onomusoga, Ogunumnyankore. It brings an entire problem. What we are doing this campaign is we are looking at our similarities. What we all need, a hospitals or health system that is functional and that helps its people. We are looking at education that serves us. We are looking at the rule of law and constitutionalism. We are not looking at who comes from where and who does not come from where. This campaign has also gathered persons from different political parties, because there are colleagues that belong to the NRM that we need to liberate before we even liberate the rest. There are colleagues from other political parties that are joining us, because what we stand for here is not political party politics. It is people that are championing a liberation struggle. So it really does not matter which political party you belong to. It also does not matter which tribe you belong to. Because if a country has bad governance bites everybody without asking ogno mnyankore onompera no musoga oba oli muganda fenna tutunyigira wamu.
Okay, thank you for this interview and I wish you the best in your race.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you for hosting me, Beatrice.
You're welcome.